Hi, thank you for joining me once again. It is 12 noon UK time, and I am Celeste, known as the Empress of Trademarks. So today's question is intellectual property, tangible or intangible? Let me just put the comment about saying hello just quickly here. And if you have any thoughts about this, feel free to pop them in the question box so that I can answer your questions. Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for joining me. That is so much appreciated. Hi. So lovely. So the question today is intellectual property tangible or intangible? And it's a really, really great question. So thank you so much to whomever put this question to me. So in my book, I've got like a definition of intellectual property, and also I looked it up on Wikipedia just to compare the two. And it's not as if I don't know it already. I just want to make absolutely sure that I get everything across to you in the best possible way. So the question is it tangible or intangible? Well, see, let me start with the definition from my book. What is intellectual property? Intellectual property is something unique that you physically create. It can also be referred to as a brainchild. A lot of people think that an idea can be protected. However, an idea alone is not intellectual property, and therefore, as such, not protectable, because an idea stays inside your mind. On Wikipedia, they have the following definition. This is just about intellectual property. I will get to the tangible or intangible in a moment. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten it. So intellectual property is a category of property that includes intangible creations of the human intellect. There you have it. There are many types of intellectual property, and some countries recognize more than others. That's also really important to know. That's why I wanted to bring both these definitions forward here. The best known types are copyrights, patents, trademarks, and trade secrets. The modern concept of intellectual property developed in England. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the term intellectual property began to be used in the 19th century, though it was not until the late 20th century that intellectual property became commonplace in the majority of the world's legal system. Now, this is really, really a lot of great information here. So as you can tell from the I'll pop my teeth back in again. The Wikipedia definition, it is intangible. And as I said before, it starts inside your brain, and then it has to take some form of expression. It can be like a painting, it can be a photograph, it can be a book. This is my intellectual property, and it is no longer intangible. It's actually become tangible. So it's important to know and understand these things, particularly when you are somebody who's building your own empire and who is creating different types of things that you know, either a system that you're taking clients through, or a process or a program. And even though I use these words, I'm mainly aiming this at people who are creating these things to take people through. And it doesn't mean that IT developers don't develop intellectual property, because they do. It's just a different type. And in many cases, IT code is also protected by copyright legislation. So that's really interesting, isn't it? And so it's about knowing what type of intellectual property it is that you've got. And if you've got my book, you will know that some of these things are written in there. And let me just pull up the link for my book for you right here. It's just going to take a second. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the comment section so that I can see them and answer them for you. Thank you, Susan. Susan is saying that it's very interesting. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Oh, Susan never thought of her art pieces. Oh, of course. So for instance, my mother, she was a world-renowned ceramic artist. And because every single piece was unique, I mean, reproductions obviously are not unique because they're reproductions. So it lies in the term itself. Whereas somebody who creates something that is unique, that is, here's the link to my book, that is intellectual property. It's their intellectual property because they have had the inspiration to create it, the idea, so to speak, and then they have given it a physical form. This, of course, is my intellectual property because it's my trademark. And I was inspired to create that in a certain way, give it a certain thumbprint that belongs to me. So that's why it's really important to know these things. It's not just like pure business purpose. It is these different types of things. And as I said before, it is also trade secrets. So it's about knowing and understanding what it is that you've got so that you can protect it properly. Do you have any questions, Susan, or shall I just wrap it up? Because it feels as if there isn't much to talk about today. I mean, I can talk forever about this, yeah, so it's really interesting. And as I said, the idea that I had for this book was not protectable in itself. Only once I had written it and I had put words into a document, either electronically or in a notebook or on a piece of paper, then it became my copyright. Isn't podcast intellectual property as well? So it depends on the podcast itself, because I would say that a podcast is probably more generic, unless you each and every single time talk about something that is completely unique. But you can put your trademark onto your podcast, for instance, and that way protected as your intellectual property. It's normal that people who have created different things, like, let's take a really good example, Denise Duffield Thomas. She's a personal hero of mine, and she has the Money Boot Camp. She has a podcast. She has the Sacred Money Archetypes, and she has a manifesting or law of attraction type thing. And all of these things are protected by her not copyright, what am I saying? Her trademark, of course. Sorry about that. So that's important to know. So when you create your podcast, if I had a podcast, I would put this on it, of course, because that's my trademark. So it depends on would you advise to always add a date for any creation? Well, at least for your own sake, yes, I would, because when you're wanting to to sort of claim either copyright to something or trademark on something, then it's a good idea to know, when exactly did I start this? I started writing this book not long after my mother passed away. I can't remember what I did with the original documents, but they got updated each time I sort of wrote additional content. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to put a timestamp on it somehow, so that you have a timeline from idea to creation. I think that's a really good idea. Yeah. So that you can then also prove to other people that this is in fact something that you've been developing. It can also be really good for research and development with tax, as far as I know. When you do R&D work, it's good to be able to say, this is something that I've done for this amount of time, and I've put such and such energy and money into it. You're so welcome, Susan. You're so welcome. Any other questions? If not, we can just wrap it up. But this has been a really good session, so thank you so much for attending, Susan. I really appreciate it. I'll just let people type a little bit, and if not, then we can wrap it up. It doesn't have to be very long sessions that I do at a time. It doesn't depend on the time I spend on here. That's my point. That's my point of view anyway. So if you don't know, if you've just joined and you don't know what I'm talking about whether intellectual property is tangible or intangible. And oh, you love the history lesson. That's good. Yeah, that was from Wikipedia. So that's, I like to gather this information so that I can give the best possible service to you. You two have a great day. We will wrap it up for now. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching either live or on replay. I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.